Dear Venerable Sisters and Dhamma friends, this is the formal first Dhamma talk in our 60th retreat in Nissarana. And according to the timetable, today we are going to have a question and answer session, or we can say discussion. And I heard there are some written questions. These questions will be taken and discussed first. Meanwhile, if anyone has any occasional questions or any comments on the ongoing discussion, already invited. And for that we have a movable mic. For the moment the mic is switched off, so you have to push the switch 2 times up and then it will be working. You can give your comments. That will be very convenient for the recordings. Otherwise, if you are going to talk with your normal voice, it will not be much properly recorded. So we cordially request you all to use the mic as much as possible. And before going on to the discussion, I would like to express that I am under the impression that each and everyone participating in these retreats are now already in precepts, at least 8 precepts. Each and everyone got the basic instructions, how to do sitting meditation, how to do walking meditation, and how to do day-to-day activities with mindfulness. And on top of that, the other rules and regulation we have imposed upon the retreat, all are already now given together with the timetable. And any question or any comments on these 3 aspects, that is to say about the precepts, about the basic instructions, and about our constitutional or our rules and regulations related to the Nissarana. If there are, please raise questions, so it will be helpful for the particular person to get a clarification as well as for our further refinement in our future. So with that remark, I invite Sunil to present the questions that already are written.
Most Honorable Bhante, am I correct if I say 1. Vijnana is mind. 2. If so, Vedana, Sanya and Sankara qualities that functions of mind.
No, your sounds is not coming, so you have to keep the mind in this angle and you have to listen the sound from the mics.
Most Honorable Bhante.
So you have to keep the angle this way.
Yeah. Most Venerable Bhante, am I correct if I say that Vijnana is mind? If so, Vedana, Sanya and Sankara qualities / functions of mind? If so, why are they shown separately and not as part and parcel of mind?
Fairly from the theoretical point of view, this is the only way we can communicate, even though it is not completely working in practice. So therefore, Vijnana is translated in English as consciousness, and that is being recognized as the mind, mana, according to the Buddhist literature. And others are mental concomitants or mental factors. There are 52 factors according to the conventional recognition, and these are the perception and mental volitional activities and the feelings. So in general theoretical analysis, they say 52 mental factors, mental concomitants. One is Vedana, the feelings. Second one is Sanya, the perception. The balance, there are 50 mental factors, all are put together as volitional factors, or sometimes called Sankhara. So out of these 50, the most prominent, most crucial one is the volition. So therefore it is being recognized, the whole bunch, whole group is being recognized as volition, but theoretically there are 50 in this bag, in this class. All of them are either considered as Sankhara or Chetana, that means mental fabrications, and the volition. So this is little bit confused when you are going to translate into another language. But this is the only theoretical way to represent. Now the question is, why they are put into two separate as mind and the mental factors. The best example or best epithet I can give is, it is like the sea and the sea waves. You can't find a sea without waves. But the wave is not something separate from the sea. It's a kind of agitation in the sea. It's represented as waves. You can count waves. 1 wave, 2 wave, 3 waves like that. Everything rising from the sea, dissolve into the sea. So, whenever someone is recognizing the sea, they recognize according to its waves. If there is no waves, you hardly recognize it as a water body. It may represent something different. So, waves and the sea are not two, but two. This is called individual characteristic and the common characteristic like. So it is a kind of a problem in our grammar, in our language. So this cannot be answered 100%, but these are the classical kind of questions and classical kind of answers. So with that answer, I would like to proceed to the second question.
Venerable Bhante, page 49 of Dhamma Discourse of Venerable Jnanarama Maha Thero. When the concentration becomes strong at its peak, the light image and the mind becomes unified. Could you please elaborate on this?
This we can say in a way our mind is fragmented mind, agitated mind, the good and the bad is completely mixed up. So therefore there is no purity because of the contamination. So when and where you are going to the meditation, here specifically the samatha meditation, the concentration meditation, you try to do away with obsessional kind of defilements. That is very famous, known as 5 hindrances. So they are hindering the progress and blocking your view. So when and where meditation becomes successful, when and where these 5 hindrances become weaker and weaker, the natural brightness of the mind come into being. Otherwise, it is being blocked by, or it is being veiled by these hindrances. So whenever the hindrances disappears, just like a cloud disappears and then the sun or the moon become brighter and brighter. So that means naturally, the natural condition of the mind is a brightness. The Buddha directly teaches, it says, Pabhasaramidam bhikkhave cittang agantuke upakkilite upakkilitam. He says, O monks, the mind is naturally bright, but it is smeared with, tarnished with outermost layer, with these defilements, but they are visitors. Your residential part, your intrinsic part, your reality is the brighter side, which is inside the core. But we have so much of social contacts, we have so much of physical, verbal and mental activities. Therefore, this brightness has somewhat covered with this layer of transgressional kind of defilements, obsessional kind of defilements, and the very underlining tendencies like. So when you are removing layer by layer, its original brightness appears. So most important, crucial change, or so to say, change over happening in the samatha meditation by removing these 5 hindrances. Then still there are some tendencies, underlying tendencies, but still generally mind become brighter. That is why the Buddha says, once the 5 hindrances removed, you have a foresight, clarity, you can rather see through something. That is because of the brightness of the mind. So therefore, it is not a function of meditation to make the mind bright. But what the meditation is doing, removing the tarnishing part. The blockages, ultimately, natural brightness come into being. So that's a better constructive way of interpreting the same.
Venerable Bhante, should walking meditation be done at a slow speed? Sometimes walking is at very slow pace, helps to note more detail as to movement and touch.
In order to reduce or to do away with this kind of a complication, if you carefully listen to the basic instructions, it says you go and confront or stand in front of the walking path that you are going to use and determine this is the path I am going to use and facing, and you stand upright and be aware of here, now I am standing. And make yourself symmetrical and relax, thinking that I am just about to walk. And then walk this determined area, the walking path, without any meditation, without any contemplation. Just let the body to walk so that you will understand the natural speed. So that is the way you familiarize to the walking path, as well as let the body knowledge to decide, but it's the most relaxed part of meditation. So let this happen for about 5 minutes, so that you are just walking up and down, and ask the body, but it's the most convenient and relaxed and natural, that is to say your normal speed. And when that assured, then only you again come back, stand on the same place where you initiated, and then with the same speed or with the normal speed that you are going to do, while walking, in order to emphasize, in order to highlight the attention to the walking path, you just forget about the upper part of the body and try to focus the attention more to the dynamic part, that is the moving legs, with the same speed, and try to see whether you are aware as the left leg is moving. Are you sure your attention with the left leg, not with the right leg, not with sounds, not with other pains, not with other sights? And whenever it is changing into the right leg, verily you know, now I am with the right leg, not with the left leg, and not with the sounds or sights or pain. If at all any prominent sounds are there, verily you know you are not with the left and the right, but with the sounds. So therefore don't make a problem with the speed. Just consult the body knowledge. Let the body to do normal, relaxing walk, and meanwhile try to focus the impact of the right soul and the left soul as the pivotal point, as the reference point, as the benchmark, and let any other thing happen, and give priority to the whatever you have selected as the primary object in this discussion, as we have taken the left leg and the right leg, but don't try to suppress any other external sources, external objects, and even the body's speed going to become slow down, just you be aware. If it's going to be very activated, be aware, try to let the body to decide it, rather than getting involved with this speed. And therefore, then you know your simple task is to observe while it is happening. When the body is walking, you just observe as if you are a second person, as if you are observing another person, of course, that to happen, it will take 30-35 minutes for the familiarization. So therefore, don't let the speed be a problem. Don't get involved consciously towards the speed. Let the body to decide, or body knowledge to decide the most comfortable speed.
Venerable Bhante, how can we keep our noting aligned with the magnetic pull experience in meditation?
The question is not clear. You may repeat it therefore.
How can we keep our noting aligned with the magnetic pull experience in meditation?
Magnetic pull experience. That it won't give any sense for me. So if the questionnaire can give a little bit detail, or what does it mean by, then we can go. Otherwise, we'll go to the next question.
This is the last question. Venerable Bhante, since 2006, when you arrived in Australia, I have been engaged in meditation practice as instructed by you. I practiced Anapanasati meditation using the breath as the primary object. I believe I attained Ekagrata and was in Samadhi very often on several occasions. Since 2 years back, my meditation practice has been overtaken by Thinamiddha, but have been able to get over the other hindrances to a great extent. I seek your most valuable advice regarding the way to overcome this obstacle of Thinamiddha, which is hindering my practice. I am also taking an amount of medicine for my ailments. Could it be the reason? I seek your advice, Venerable Bhante.
The Thinamiddha is translated into English in the conventional way as the sloth and torpor. And often in the other retreats also that appear, sometimes as a question or sometimes as observations. So this kind of sloth and torpor, we can divide into two. One thing with defilement, the other one is less amount of defilements or without defilements. So that is very crucial before you are going to think about remedies. So I will come out with a suggestion for the particular person to understand whether it is happening with the full of defilement as a hindrance or it's a kind of advanced sign of the meditation. That is to say, it is happening without the defilement. That is to say, if you can keep accounts or bookkeeping, whether you are going into this sloth and torpor through your primary object or not. Whenever the sloth and torpor stops, whether you awaken directly into the primary object or not. I will give the combination. If you can make sure you go into the sloth and torpor through your primary object, and whenever you are awakening or when you are wake up, again the primary object appears, that appears something like a slimy mind or weakened mind, but no much of defilements. But if you can clearly understand with the self-criticism, your mind goes into the sloth and torpor through wandering mind, and whenever you wake up, if you feel wandering mind, that means it is true to type sloth and torpor. So therefore, this particular person talking about 2 years of experience towards this thing may be some kind of medicine taking for the lowering down of the nervous system also, that can be a problem. Or otherwise, one has to keep very sharp. Just when the mind is preparing for this sliminess, when the mind is preparing for that sloth and mind is becoming congealing, try to understand still whether you can have the relationship with the primary object before the transition takes place. So that demand very high, very pointed kind of mindfulness to see, because in meditation, in Vipassana, nothing happened by accident. Everything gradual. So therefore you have to learn the thin slicing of time. You can't say awakened mind and all of a sudden fallen into the sloth and torpor. It is happening in the process, in episodes. So when it is happened, for so to say, when the mind become backward and slimy and congealing, if you we are sharp enough to see, while this preparation happens, still can I see the object, primary object? That means you must have a very diversified kind of a mindfulness, very versatile kind of mindfulness. So when that happens, again mind becomes warmer, it becomes mobilized, and the sloth and torpor will be at least temporarily pushed aside. And when you give me this sharpness, you can see there's a reason the mind is hiding, mind is plays hide and seek kind of a game, because the object, the very primary object become boring. It become monotonous. It become disinterest. When that happens, mind is finding this way, otherwise entertaining doubts. Entertaining doubts means too much of energy. And slimy mind, or hiding kind of mind, it becomes lack of energy. So these are the tricks it is playing. So in order to sort it out, you have to understand when this congealing and when this slimy, when the sloth setting in, whether you are completely cut off from the primary object, or wandering mind, daydreaming, or still whether the meditator can maintain the relationship with the primary object. I think that is a kind of a fine-tuning, kind of a refinement of your meditation and sharpening of your mindfulness. So therefore, before running into remedies, you have to diagnose, you have to detect what kind of a sloth and torpor. One thing is without defilement, other one is correctly, we can say, hindrances. So this is very important for this analysis. So if that particular person can add more information to that, as to say whether what is the relationship between primary object towards this changeover, that will be very interesting, very juicy, very leading kind of a question, discussion. Otherwise, no questions.
That is the last question.
We have almost 30 minutes or more. If there are any questions?
Venerable Bhante, I was wondering that question that Sunil was reading out about how do you note magnetism, the magnetic pole. Like, so say you're experiencing a pull of an inward pull. What do you observe? Like, at that point, you don't note as such. So what do you sort of anchor on to continue with your mindfulness?
So, I don't know, I will put it this way, you can check whether I got the point. If the mind is one-pointed, if the mind is focused, if the mind is magnetized to the object, what is the use of noting? That's a simple question. Not necessary. Noting is a tool. If the thing is being served, not necessary to use the tools. It is using in order to advert the mind to the particular object. If the mind is wandering, you use the tool of noting in order to direct the mind or adverting mind to the object. If the mind is naturally going to that, the noting is a mere additional thing, unwanted disturbance. And it is going against the one-pointedness. It's going against the alignment of the mind with the object. So therefore, this tool, the noting, or in Pali we can say vitakka vichara, without vitakka vichara, or without monitoring, without taking them under control, that means kaya vachi sankhara, mind and the body never get settled. Before the kaya sankhara, before the mental bodily formation to settle down, this has to. Vitakka vichara you have to do away with. Otherwise mind and the body and the breath never will become calm down. So therefore you have to use it as far as it has any utility value, pragmatic value. And when and where it is finished, it is dropping. Naturally it is dropping. But if the yogi without knowing going to use it again and again in the impractical way, that means it's not efficient enough to do not know how to use this tool. So therefore noting has a very limited practical value. When you familiarize with your object and when you become seasoned to meditation, easily you can do away with the labeling. So, Pandita Sayadaw used to say, when you go to the schools, second period, start with the register marking. Teacher is calling and each one has to raise hand to say, I am present. So if the teacher is not familiar with the class, he or she has to make sure one particular person raising the hand twice. So this is what happened in the university lecture rooms. You don't come, but someone sign for you. But earlier there was no signing. Later it became just like high education classes. So the teacher has to sign how many attended. So people start signing. If the teacher do not know, if he's just going by the signatures, misrepresenting. But once the teacher familiarize the class, he know even who is signing twice. That sharpness happens. So therefore, the calling by name is the way to see the absence and presence. So labeling is not a must all the time. It has its own utility value, limited usages, and once that is finished, it is dropping. But due to the adamant nature of the yogi, he or she is using it, then it is not really serving the purpose, but distractions, disturbance.
What's the point of transition, Bhante?
Like point of transition?
Transition, because if the noting drops, then the awareness...
Transition point is, whenever, if I am to take the example of in-breath and out-breath, when and where the in-breath and out-breath going to appear equally, I mean it is losing its individual characteristics and going to show common character, that is the point to stop calling in-breath and out-breath. As far as you can clearly see, this is in-breath, not out-breath, this is out-breath, not in-breath, so much so you have to use the noting, but not necessarily. If you are sure, if you can understand, even without noting you can do. But after whatever, they are merging each other. In-breath and out-breath both become a vibration, both become a rubbing sensation, both become a heavy sensation, whatever may be. So that means it is the time labeling is dropping and the mind is going to see through individual characteristics and about to see common character. So that is the point. You are doing away with labeling. Very clear point theoretically, but practically not so easy, because not only you understand the object, but you have the third dimension, fourth dimension kind of a bird's eye view. So that is how your attention is being demanded and become so vigilant and diligent. Immediate with the meditation, there easily you can understand. Up to that, noting is necessary. Beyond this point, not necessary.
Most Venerable, this is the first time I'm meditating in my life. I'm trying to still identify my primary object, whether it should be breathing or whether it should be the rising and the fall of my abdomen. I seem to be able, this morning I thought I could recognize the rising and fall of my abdomen. But the breath, I cannot find a point right here at the top, but I do find it right, like very much inside. Is that fine or is it okay?
I think enough information for me to analyze it. I will rather go backward one step. As a beginner, I recommend, and we have given directions, you better do a good walking meditation and come and sit. And when you are sitting, you try your best to bring the outwardly kind of a mind taken into the inwardly. So take the attention into the body. That means the how mind is entering into the house called I am, my body. And so whenever mind is inwardly, you have to be very cordial, you have to be very invitive, you have to be give the maximum conducive conditions so that mind will feel comfortable at home. So that is why you are being supposed to sit and make yourself comfortable. Make yourself symmetrical. Make yourself relaxed. And ask the mind, is it okay now? Is it enough for you to come and rest in the house? So you are the very first person know whether it is still running outside or coming inside. And running outside is nothing to punish because that is the way it has been brought up. Now only you are asking to come in. So you are giving the maximum condition. Supposing that its mind occasionally now come and rest in the here. Now I am sitting. So that means a great stage, great step. That means in and out difference gone. The wandering mind, daydreaming mind, fantasizing mind now finds solace in the body, in the house. So this is the beginning of the meditation. That means you are already now in the water. You are not learning to swimming in the dry land. Now you are in the water. So within the body, now this is the big tapestry. Many things are happening. You just give enough time, the mind, to see what is the most prominent phenomena, most prominent experience within this body, within this present moment. Whatever maybe mind is selecting, that is the best. Don't try to practice preconceived ideas. Don't try to push the mind, this is better than this, or you must see this or see that, this is a must. That is the poison for the meditation. That never qualifies, see things as they are. So therefore, first and foremost, in order to keep the mind inside, of course you have to be strategic. You have to give conducive conditions or facilitate to come in. And once come, you have to really appreciate the mind. And ask the mind which is the most prominent phenomena, prominent feature you find or find durable, consistent, and that you select as the primary object. So out of whenever the mind comes in, theoretically speaking, there are hardness, softness, movements, stillness, heat, cold, fluidity and cohesive nature. So it's a general fact. That's a rule of thumb. The movement is the one the untrained mind often get interested in. That means air element. So air element means it is representing, holding or moving. So whether it's moving on the belly or movement of the air, both of them are represent the Vayopotthappha Dhathu. So you can't say this is better and this is not, this is good and this is not good. Instead you must be very patient and to consult the mind to ask which one you find more homely, which one more you find more at home. And so that you have to be very sharp loving kindness to yourself, sharp presence of the mind, or so to say the mindfulness. So therefore it qualifies you love your feelings rather than bookish knowledge, rather than deductive knowledge. You just feel yourself and give the priority for the under-the-nose experience. And now you are giving the maximum comfort to your body, so therefore it's a kind of a loving kindness. The second thing is you are believing only something under your very nose, not the book knowledge, not the deductive knowledge, but the book knowledge and deductive knowledge are very smart. They come and value judgment and measurements and comparison and all the kind of. So we people try to recognize this bad habit as knowledge. Nonsense. Knowledge means exactly what is happening under your nose. For that, whether you have qualification in the book knowledge or not necessary. Of course, it is become a disqualification, but it is also not true. Even if you know, and if you know how to appreciate the under-nose experience rather than the book knowledge, you are well off. Even if you are educated, no problem. So I am making you this opportunity, your question to give kind of a knowledge to all the beginners. Let the mind to select the priority You just keep the track with mindfulness. You are not imagining. You are not trying to do something preconceived thing. You let the mind to see what is most prominent. And therefore, in the latter part, the commentators, this is yatha pakatang vipassana biniveso. Whatever may be the prominent by itself is the doorway to insight meditation. Not deductive knowledge, not inferential knowledge, not rational knowledge, not book knowledge. But the thing is, again I am telling, book knowledge is so adamant, so smart, creeping into that. And the inferential knowledge, bad enough, anyone will consider it as a wisdom. This is a perversion. That is why you lose your simplicity. You make the situation complicated. So therefore, ask the mind whether you can feel the sensation in the uppermost area of your respiratory tract or lowermost part, that is to say the diaphragm. Whatever may be, the experience will speak, rather than you are trying to impose this or that.
Bhante, just one other question. Now, when you identify naturally the primary object, then thereafter, am I to continue, just let's say it is a diaphragm, am I to then thereafter continue with that? Or can it be today breath and tomorrow the...
At the beginning, you are excused to do like that. That is to say, what is the most durable one? What is the most persistent one? So you have to do trial and error. And you day by day, you are doing not for the sake of trial and error, you do what is the most persistent, what is the most consistent, what is the most durable. Your trial and error is the most solid way. No other way. I would like to know how many this kind of newcomers or come for the first time for the retreat. Anyone else?
Most Venerable Bhante, a friend of mine once asked, what is Buddhism in a nutshell? I said it's Trilakshana, but then later I thought it's a wrong answer, and now I think it can be, I'm asking you, Venerable Bhante, Buddhism in a nutshell means Paticca Samuppada or Arya Ashtangika Marga?
That's why you can't put Buddhism into a nutshell. You have to accept it. Everyone wants everything in the pill form or in the injection form, and the quick methods. That means they are not patient enough. They don't understand the profundity of it. So when we are going to put into a nutshell, we are undermining it. So they have to say, it's a shortcut, but little longer than the normal cut. That is the way you have to say. It's a shortcut is there, but that shortcut is little longer than the normal cut. So that is the way we have to camouflage them. Because they people are, how do you call the part-time people. I mean, good to start with, but you have to give answers in such a way to keep their interest, but to say this very difficult such a thing put into a nutshell. That's why it says in Sinhala, Alya korahe navanna baya. Whatever may be the weakness, how to call the thin the elephant is, you can't bathe in the small pot. For that you have to have the elephant basin. So likewise, it's a long journey. So that is what the Reese Davis did it. And she put the Buddhism in nutshell or something like a book. And she started to write one after the other, ultimately completely lost. She told impossible. Which is, you can say Trilakshana, it says, you can say Paticca, you can say Raga, Dosa, Moha, you can say Sila, Samadhi, Panya, you can say Four Noble Truth, you can say 37 factors of enlightenment. Long list. So very difficult. But even then, if someone asks from me, I would say mindfulness. Appamada. So I give a formula. Buddhism means meditation, meditation means vipassana, vipassana means mindfulness. That is for me. So when you are mindful, everything is there.
The verse Sabba Papasta Karanang can be put into an explanation for Buddhism.
So for a non-Buddhist, what does it mean by Sabba Papasta?
The whole verse.
I mean, for a non-Buddhist, you have to understand Papa. They don't know Papa Punya. And they have to understand what is Akaranam.
If you explain the meaning,
that is the way you can tell them. There are a lot of such reduced to a certain extent, but it is not giving the complete picture. There are some coinciding parts, but that is the way. So therefore, this is a historical question, but there is no classical answer. People can ask. So if you are asking Catholic or kind, you can give the Bible. If you are asking for the Muslims, they can give the Quran. So they have the whole script. But if you go to Buddhism, you have to go to a library. You can't say this is Buddhism. That's why even for the Buddha, it took 45 years. Even for the Buddha, to give the message, because halfway the Buddha Maran came, now you have finished your job, get out. Oh, he says, not yet. Till the people become enlightened, I have to do it, then I am going to retire. Retirement plan. So before that he did 45 years, at last he told Sapamadena Sampadena. Apamada means it is again the big pregnant word. So difficult. Because this is the way we are in a reductionist way. We are in a linear kind of thinking, linear kind of education. Our mind is crooked. Our mind is not willing to give the due respect. So therefore we try to reduce it and put into your pocket and put into a pen drive or put into a CD. Try to be Tipitaka-dhari. No. At least one has to say you have to ordain and live 20 years to be a Thero. I am 23 years. So I am very happy to say, if possible, try and see. Try and see. Even then, I am a beginner. I start learning daily, more than, at the rate than you people. Daily learning. I am putting very preliminary efforts to refine the same thing. So therefore, never ending. It's a lifelong experiment, lifelong exploration. So according to this timetable, I will read it because we were using another one up to 59. 3:35 o'clock walking, wake up and walking meditation. 5 to 6:30 here group sitting. Males they will be up there. And 6:30 to 8 breakfast and the cleaning purposes, cleaning of the premises. And 8 to 9 walking, 9 to 10:30 sitting, group sitting, 10:30, 11:15 walking, 11:15 to 12 lunch break, 12 to 1 o'clock walking meditation, 1 to 2:30 question and answer, 2:30 to 3 tea interval, 3 to 4 walking meditation, 4 to 5 sitting meditation, and 5 to 6:30 Dhamma talk and merit sharing. So that means 4 to 6:30 everyone has to sit. But Dhamma talk is coming after sitting meditation. Earlier we had an alternative system. So that this is one remark. 4 to 45 sitting and 5 again sitting and listening to a talk. And yeah, that is right. So, best thing is, you give a consideration for the last retreat timetable. It was fairly consistent. And if it is so, we are meeting at 3 o'clock for a sitting, 3 to 4 sitting, 4 to 5 walking, 5 Dhamma talk. And then rotate. And when the question and answer happens, interviews, groups interviews tomorrow, 4 to 5 Dhamma talk, till that you have alternative walking and sitting, Dhamma talk, and 5 to 6 Dhamma talk, 6:30 we start group discussion, group interviews. That means after 30 minutes of walking meditation. So that is what we used. So you can talk with Chandana and or otherwise Reggie. 6 to 6:30, 7:30 tea interval interviews. So this is okay. 7 to 8 walking meditation. 8 to 9 interviews continues. 8 to 8:30 walking meditation, 8:30, 9:30 sitting meditation. So give a thought and see what is the, how much it is convenient to give it to the last one. Others are, I think, okay. So if there are no any occasional questions, we can take time. And if you are going to follow the last timetable, after 1 hour and 10 minutes, we will be meeting here for a sitting. I am under the impression the last timetable. And then again, 3 to 4 sitting, 4 to 5 walking. 5 o'clock we are starting at Dhamma talk. Daily that is the same. But the question and answer and the interviews changing alternatively. Hoping there are no more questions, so we are going to end the first question and answer session. And then, shall we decide now here to come at about 3 o'clock back? Okay, that means daily we are going to have 1 hour only for the question and answer, 1 hour only for the Dhamma talk. But the interviews, as far as question comes, also you can do written questions as well as occasional questions, and we try to complete the session as much as possible. Silu dinatama Theruvan sarnai, may triple gems, blessing of the triple gems with you all. Thank you.